This exercise will be used to target the whole posterior chain, which includes the upper and lower back muscles, the glutes, and the hamstrings. You will also feel this heavily in your inner thigh muscles, and compared to the conventional deadlift, it tends to be a little easier on the lower back. Step 1. Setup. Start with a barbell on the ground. If you have access to big bumper plates, I would recommend using those. If you aren't going to be using weight or only have access to smaller weight plates, I would suggest either elevating the bar onto a rack, weight stack, or any elevated platform so that the bar starts at about the level of your shins. Once you've got that set up, stand with the bar over your midfoot. Take a sumo stance by moving your feet out wide to at least outside of shoulder width with your toes pointed out. You can tell if your feet are too wide based on your mobility, if when you go down to grab the bar, your knees cave inward and you can't keep your knees out towards your toes. Play around with this to see what feels best based on your current mobility. Next, get down to grip the bar by pushing your hips back and then bending your knees out and forward towards the direction of your toes. Grab the bar with a double overhand grip with your arms hanging straight down right at shoulder width apart, which should be inside your knees. If you have wrist straps, you can use those to help with your grip, especially once you start lifting with relatively heavy weights. From here, bring the bar as close to your shins as possible and tuck your chin down to align your neck with your spine by gazing at the floor just a few feet in front of you. Step 2. Execution. Stabilize your body by thinking about bending the bar in half towards you by engaging your lat muscles, and then pull your chest up and hips down to wedge yourself into the bar. At this point, your head, back, and hips should make one straight line, and the bar should be held close to your shins right over your midfoot. From here, brace your core as if someone were about to punch your stomach. Finally, pull the slack out of the bar by lightly pulling up against it and pushing your feet away from the floor. At this point, you should be exerting quite a bit of effort pulling up on the bar without the weight yet leaving the floor. This helps create tension and stability. From here, while maintaining a straight back and keeping your chest up, pull up on the bar while pushing your feet down against the floor. As you do so, the bar should travel in a perfectly straight line up over your midfoot and should be kept as close to your body as possible, dragging straight up in front of your shins. Your knees should also be pointing out, staying in line with the direction of your toes. Once the weight passes your knees, really think about driving your hips forward and squeezing your glutes to finish the lift. At the top position, your head, shoulders, hips, and feet should make one straight line. From here, control the weight back down by first pushing your hips back, and then once the weight passes your knees, bending your knees until the weights touch the ground. Again, keeping the bar as close to your thighs and knees as possible as you do so. You can choose to either perform touch and go reps, just slightly tapping the ground with the weights each rep, or you can choose to let the weights fully settle on the ground and reset your form before going into the next rep. Either way, make sure your form stays intact with everything we discussed earlier. Step 3. Common mistakes. Avoid pulling the bar right off the ground without getting rid of the slack. Instead, before your rep, pull up slightly on the bar to get rid of the slack and to create tension in your arms and lower body without the bar lifting up. Then, from here, you can initiate your rep by exerting your full effort. Avoid pulling the weight with your back. Instead, think about as if your arms were just hooks holding onto the bar, and let your lower body muscles do most of the work by pushing the floor away with your feet and driving the hips forward. Avoid hyperextending and leaning back at the top. Instead, finish each rep once your hips and knees are fully locked out and your body is vertical. Avoid looking up as you pull. Instead, gaze forward at the ground to keep your neck in line with your spine as you pull. Avoid rounding your back as you pull. The tips we just covered will help with this, but if you still have trouble, try lightening the weight and also consider elevating the starting position onto weight plates to shorten the range of motion.